Hey everyone, it's Min here for House of Cards Challenge blog. This month we're doing a fun technique called a punch and stamped window, and I've got my completed card here to show you. I'm not sure if you can see the subtle deboss of my sentiment. There's just a very subtle amount of space in between my sentiment and my stamped panel, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. It's simpler than I think you might think it is. I'm going to grab a piece of paper. This is going to be my paper for stamping off on. I've got my card base, which has already been prepped with my glitter paper, and so I'm going to set that aside. This is going to be my piece of paper that we're going to stamp on, and then I've got my sentiment punched out also. But we're going to start with this piece of paper. This measures 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then my card base is an A2 card base, and the glitter is 3 3/4 inches by 5. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to punch out or die cut whatever shape you want. And I really like this label punch from Stampin' Up, so I'm going to use that, and I always do mine backwards. This way I can line it up, and the reason that I've done it at 3 by 5 or 4 3/4 is because I know that this is going to fit perfectly in the center of that. And I'm just going to center it and punch my punch out. So that gives me this panel that's just got a punched window out. Okay. The reason that I do this before doing all of my stamping, because it looks like I could have just stamped this and then punched it out, but the reason that you should do this before is so that you can make sure that when you're stamping, it looks even, okay? So next I'm just going to take some green ink and this Evergreen Stamp Bow by Great Impressions, and I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp where I want it to go. And I'm sure this won't turn out exactly like my first one, but that's okay. And I'm going to make sure that I'm stamping it kind of evenly on both sides as I go. And I mean, I could even stop there if I wanted to. I could stop with just that and make it even more clean and simple. So I think I am going to for this one, just to see how that's going to turn out. Then I'm going to take this pine cone stamp, which is also by Great Impressions, and I'm going to do some coloring with a marker so that I just get the pine cone image inked up, because I don't want all of it. So I'm going to color that in. And it looks like it's good and coated, so I'm not going to huff on it. And then I'm just going to put that exactly where I want it to, right there in the middle of the branch. Come over here, do this one too. This one I think I'm going to do 2 on it, so I'm going to put one a little bit further off because this is going to be my top. And one here. The other thing that you can do too, I got to skew this a little bit, sorry about that. The other thing you can do too is you can just punch around this border. So if you had some flower images, I've got some cards where I've done it, where I've just stamped flower images all the way around it, so it's really like a frame. And I'm going to turn that over so that you can see the finished product without stamping behind it. So this is what it looks like, and you can see there's that hole for my sentiment. Now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your stamped panel over, and you saw that I grabbed my card base, but I grabbed it too soon. I'm going to take some foam mounting tape, and I'm going to put it strategically onto my card base. I always do the 4 corners. And then when you're doing this technique, you're also going to want to put some around the window. And I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm going to put 2 small pieces here on these sides and some up here. Okay? So that is how I'm going to adhere it to my glitter paper card base. So let me take all of these off. And then we're going to bring in our card base right here, and we're going to attach it. Make sure that you're putting it on the right way, so my fold is down at the bottom. Good, that way I won't put it on the wrong way. And if you do just a punched border, or if you just do a stamped border, just stamping right around the actual border, then it won't be a problem and you can put it on either way. center this on my glitter paper and push down firmly, because sometimes glitter paper doesn't want regular paper to stick to it. Okay, so you can see kind of that this is recessed, and you know, if you wanted to, you could have already had the sentiment on here and then you wouldn't have to add a sentiment panel, but I like to do my sentiment panel, punch it out. You can punch it out of this pattern paper, but you could have also just used this piece if you wanted to as well. And the reason that I do this is so that I can have my sentiment exactly centered where I want it, so that I don't have to worry about, oh, is that in the center? Is that going to look right? Because you might want to have your punched panel down here, and you might want it to be an oval, or you might want it up here, and you might want it a circle. So this way, punching it out and already having it prepped does all that guesswork. But you're going to want to make sure that if you're adhering to glitter paper, you put lots of adhesive. So I'm going to literally just cover the back of this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up on one side and on the top and on a side, and then I'm just going to push this in. And if you have it centered, or if you have it in there correctly, it should just go right down in. Okay, might take a little work. You might have to come back and push some of the corners in like I'm having to. And then I'm just going to push that down really, really well. Okay, and that's really all you have to do. After I did that, I went back in and I added some red berries and some red jewels next to my sentiment. But as you can see, this one right here is just a little bit different take, and I like it just as much as this one, which has more embellishments on it. So that is how you create a punched and stamped window. I hope that you take some time this month to join us and to play along with us at House of Cards. I can't wait to see your take on this, and stay tuned for more this month. All of my gals that are doing tutorials and tips are going to have more tips for you on how they made their cards. So until then, hugs and happy stamping, friends.